take a certain type of motivation. Not to say I hope I make it, but to know I'll make it. See a way out through a pen.
Welcome to another episode of I Am the Change podcast, brought to you by Dreams to Reality Incorporated. I am your host, Mychal Davis, alongside Mr. Jason Redmond.
Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm really excited about this episode, man. It's funny because all the times we've been interviewing all these folks, man, talking about being the change, we never interviewed each other talking about how we came about to want to be the change. And so I'm excited to get to hear your story. I'm excited to tell mine. Look, I even got the headphones on, man, so I can hear clearer. I got, I'm close to the internet. I'm in the living room. I'm ready, man. I'm ready to get it going because I'm just excited, man. Like when you talk about change, man, it's always exciting because, like, to see something start and to grow to your wildest imagination is always amazing to me. And so for that, I say, hey, man, anybody willing to get out here and be that change, man, I salute them, man, because it's not easy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The process.
Yeah.
And it's always a process because, so many people want to be the change. I know for me, it was like, I know I want to do something, but how do I do it? What is the first step? And it's just about starting. Like, that's what I had to realize. Like, it's just about starting in that process. Like, becoming the change is changing yourself. So it's a process inside of a process, basically,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So, for me, it was, but I'm excited to know, everything about what made the man, Jason Redmond, definitely excited to dive into that. Talk a little bit about the book, because we're gonna have to get these viewers to read that. I
know
it surprised me.
I know
the book surprised me.
Yeah.
It definitely did,
man. So, man, like one of my buddies told me, man, you got to be what people aren't, and you got to do what people don't. So for me, I was always like, man, I don't know how to be regular. Like I go to church. I'm a deacon at my church, and people always are surprised when they hear that. And I'm like, what does a deacon look like? I'm in a fraternity. He'll be like, man, you don't act like other guys in that fraternity. I'm like, what do you mean? Like I've always felt like there's always a uniqueness to who you are, and I've never wanted to be something like somebody else. So for me, when I wrote to that book, the book is called An Athlete's Love. So it's a man's perspective. It's a man's perspective about love. So it's a fiction story, man. It's it's just a love story from a man's perspective. Women get a chance to talk about love. They talk about romance from a woman's perspective. And a lot of times in books or movies, men are depicted as the villain or the person that does the dirt first, and they start to cycle.
We always the dogs.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so to me, there's a circle of love. So like, if you get your heart broke, you're gonna break somebody else's heart, and then they're gonna go out and break somebody else's heart, and then eventually you're gonna get your heart, and it's gonna come back around your time, and we're all gonna be broken people. And so it's a broken people cycle of love. And so basically what happens is you catch somebody in their brokenness, and they're either gonna be at their brokenness where they're getting over it, or they're going to be in their breaking other people's hearts and not seeing the damage that they're doing. So man, to me, so I was always like, man, that's to be in that circle, you gotta be careful, man, because when you get your heart broke, man, people do crazy stuff. Like, man, it is what it is.
Absolutely. So, love will make you do some wild things. I've seen it,
man.
Yeah.
Love will make you the lady that drove across country with the diaper on. Love.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
With the that was serious.
Yeah, man. That's love right there, man.
That's real love. That was real love.
Yeah.
And but see, with the book,
that goes back.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I want to hear this.
So I was gonna say, to me, the lady driving across country with the diaper on, that's the part about the brokenness of love. Like, you're broken. That her heart was broken. She's gonna do whatever she can to get that feeling, get that love feeling back. And so she drives across country with a diaper on. She just
Yeah,
goes crazy. But that's the brokenness right there. Yeah.
exactly.
But you gotta deal with that before you get to that part. And
Yeah, yeah. A
that's
lot of people don't do
that's
the
good.
healing beforehand.
No,
A lot of people don't do the healing in between situations. They just jump into another situation thinking that's going to like take away that pain, but really you just creating, you know what I'm saying, more damage,
more
and you
pain.
bringing that baggage
Yeah,
into the next relationship. You know what I'm saying? So that's a recipe for
exactly,
disaster. That's a recipe, you know.
man. So I always believe that you learn something from every situation that you're in. So to me, if you're in a situation and it doesn't work out, you got to account for your mistakes in that situation. It can't be all about the other person. Oh, they did this, they did this. Nah, man, it takes two people to tango. And so
Period.
I was,
Yep.
yo, man, yeah, you can dance by yourself. You look a little funny, but if you dancing with somebody, Doc, yeah, man, you've got to be accountable for your actions. And to me, without you being accountable, Pearl Harbor, baby,
Absolutely.
it's a sinking ship. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
and life will teach you that whether you're willing to learn it the easy way or the hard way, you know. And for a
Man,
while,
yes,
because
sir.
I can admit I didn't want to learn that lesson. So I've had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
man. So nobody really wants to take account for what they did wrong, but when you go back and you look at the situation, there's always breadcrumbs of things that you did that led up to that point. And when you go back, and hindsight's 2020, you can go back and say, "Oh man, I should have done such and such." Yeah, well, that goes back to education and knowledge. Like, if you had the knowledge about love, you probably would have. If people really knew about love, you probably wouldn't do it. You probably wouldn't go. You probably wouldn't fall in love, because love make you do crazy things. But
Yeah.
it's also it can be beautiful if with the right person. It can be, whew, with the
Yeah.
wrong person. Yeah, it
Absolutely.
can be toxic with the wrong person. Beautiful
It's
with
a
the right
double-edged
person.
sword for sure. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, and then but see, and then we also don't realize like that what we see, like, because if we see our parents in a toxic situation, you know what I'm
mhm,
saying, then a lot of times, like, and there's a lot of single mothers out here, young mothers out here these days. So
yeah,
these kids are seeing their mothers not necessarily, even the fathers not necessarily mature,
mhm.
they're in a toxic situation, so they're learning this behavior and bringing it into their relationships, and without even
Exactly,
realizing.
exactly. Like, yeah, like you learn from what you learn from your environment. And I try to tell people, like, I definitely try to tell my children, like, don't look at me as being the expert on any and everything. Like, I do what I am trained to do professionally. I know that. I know it in and out. I go back to continuing education every year. When it comes down to running a nonprofit, uh, I ask a lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? I seek advice. When it comes down to love, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't seek no advice. I just dove head first, man. I made my bed. I lie in it. I made some mistakes. I did some things right. But this is what I did. It's not gonna look the same for you, because
Yeah.
even though you got 26 of my chromosome, it ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be the same, because you're not marrying me. You're marrying somebody else, or you're falling in love with somebody else. It's not me. You're somebody else, and they may not look at life like that. And granted, I mean, I might not be right. So
Yeah. And then, with it's a different time period, and the way things change, the way our relationships are looked at now. I mean, they even got, you know what I'm saying, these days, like I see it on TV so much, the little polyamorous thing, they entertain that a whole bunch. So it's just like, I mean,
yeah,
it's a huge difference. But see, like,
yeah,
I found when things started changing for me in my relationship, um, I read a book called, matter of fact, I read a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, right? And
uh huh,
that book, it was a part, and it was like, just in any situation, you should ask yourself, what can you change? Because there's one thing you can always
exactly,
change in any situation. and that is yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Change that attitude, that mindset. And then as soon as I started asking that question, thinking like that, immediately things changed. Like it was mind blowing. Like, because immediately things changed. I was able to intercept arguments like before it happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because at times, like, you can see arguments building up the same
coming.
way. Like, you can see them coming. So I was able to, I'm knocking them out. Like, it was just amazing. You know what I'm saying? And once you start doing that, it's just everything changes. It's like kind of pouring out that cup, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you filled it up with the wrong stuff. You've got to pour out that cup and be willing to get something new in there. Try something new, do something different. Because insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But man, and look, for me, like I look at society now, man, it's totally different. Like technology is taken over. Like beforehand, I remember somebody asking me once, "How did you guys get around?" I can remember calling on the phone, getting directions how to go to somebody's house, and I remember getting out there, and I'm from Houston, Texas, so I'm from Houston, Texas. When I started driving, my mom's first words was, "Hey, look, you got to learn the interstate." And so I was like, "Okay, all right." She said, 59 goes north and south, 45 goes north and south, 10 goes east to west, 610 goes around the city, 288 goes around the city. I was like, okay. So if I met somebody that didn't live in my neighborhood, well, I'd ask them, "Do you live off the interstate, or do I go the street?" They give me if they live off the interstate, they say, "I live off 59, get off at exit, get off the Fannin Street exit, go up 2 blocks, make a right. It's a gas station right there. Don't go past the McDonald's. There's a street between the McDonald's and the gas station. Turn right there, go down 2nd Street on the right. That's my street. Come down to the 4th house on the left. That's my street." And they would give you the street name. But now, they don't know no street names. If they give me the address, I'll punch it in the GPS.
I'll punch it in the If the phones went away, at least this world would be lost. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, but as it progressed, I can remember printing out MapQuest directions. I remember that.
Yeah. I remember that. That was huge. That was like the next big MapQuest, like a word, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the next thing you know.
Yeah. Or being on MapQuest and it's the wrong directions. You got to go to the paper on the column. Yeah.
That's the worst situation. Yeah. It is amazing how technology has progressed. Even before like MapQuest and stuff, we talked about the internet, the AOL dial-up. Kids have no idea. The little dude running on the screen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, that was worse. That sound haunts. Man.
Nightmares.
I remember when I first got my email address. Yeah. I had the same email address from 1997 until maybe 7-8 years ago. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. I use that. Look, I can still access it. I just don't use it anymore. I got tired. I can't say I got tired of it. I just stopped using it because I got so flooded with spam. I got tired of sending that spam out and deleting all the spam that they made it through. I think, I'm done with this. But yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
So tell me, man, how did you come up with Rhythm of Hope? Like what made you want to deal with young people and teach them the arts?
Well, first of all, like when I was in school coming up, I played sports. I was all about sports. And that's what I thought my calling was. I mean, I ran a 4.23, 40.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
So it was time to go. I ran track and everything. Like I ran the 10-800. You know what I'm saying? So I was with it, but I got. But I was dealing with a lot. Also, I was in foster care. Because at the time, my mom she took a little leave of absence because she was dealing with drugs and stuff like that. But she came back strong. Props to my mom because she's doing amazing now. So I didn't have the proper guidance in my life at that time, and hanging with the wrong people, wrong influence, I got in some trouble. early in life. I got in some trouble. So that took away a lot of options for me early in life. So I had to, so I like found music and art and like graphic design. And I just like, I moved, that's when I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina from Raleigh. And I saw some guys I linked up with, they had a studio when I first got down there. I didn't even know I could rap. My older brother used to rap. I was always super shy, writing little verses and stuff like that. But when I got down there, something clicked, you know what I'm saying? So I just started rapping, got into it, and I was nice. Like, turns out I had some talent. And then with the graphic design, with the graphic design stuff, I started getting into that. And I'm just like, I mean, I fell in love with this stuff. And it made me think, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I could have like had, because I didn't even know, I had to like, it was a couple of white friends that kind of put me in a position to be able to have access to a studio and all this stuff like that. So like, I didn't even know like this was a possibility for me. I could put myself in a situation where I could do this type of stuff. And it was like, if I would have had this access, maybe it would have kept me from what I was doing. Because when I was during summertime, I wasn't able to pay for those camps to go to all year round. Like I went to some camps, some sports camps and stuff like that, but I wasn't always into something during the summer. And it was stuff that I was restricted from doing because I was in foster care that they just wasn't trying to have. So, but they would let me go to my brother's house. And then my brother was gone all day working. He had a kid. So I just had free roam to get into stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have any outlet, any positive outlet. They lived in a, you know what I'm saying, a funny neighborhood. So it was just negativity all around me. So that's what I can get into. My friends was doing nonsense, so I was doing nonsense. But see what this outlet, I realized like what this outlet could have done is it could have shown me a different type of life, but it could have also kept me out the streets. You know what I'm saying? It could have kept me from doing the negative stuff I was doing, hanging with certain people. So I was hanging with older kids that was selling drugs and stuff like that. And it just wasn't what I needed to be doing. So when I came up with Rhythm of Hope, I just thought like, it's kids dying in these streets, you know what I'm saying? From being wrong place, wrong time. In any given situation, a cop is not worried about this kid's background, if he's in foster care, if he got problems at home. No, you see some Black kids in the wrong neighborhood, in the wrong area, so they get pressed. You know what I'm saying? I remember, like I always think about, like, you watch Soul of a Nation, you know, when they're in the kitchen and they ask that question, when was the first time you realized you was Black? And that question, every time I hear it, it's so heavy because, like, and I think back, and I remember I was walking home from McDonald's with my boy Twan, his sister, my boy Tyler. I think my brother was with me, and it was some guys. They rolled by. We was right by the car dealership. Some white kids rolled by. They was throwing stuff at the cars and stuff like that. And the cops came there quick enough to see them do it and ride off. Didn't even chase after them. Stopped, pulled us over. You were young, you know what I'm saying? Like 12, 13, put us all in handcuffs, like kneeling against us on the ground. I mean, just treating us horribly, you know what I'm saying? We just went to McDonald's, spent our last little change on some double cheeseburgers. We was sharing some fries, you know what I'm saying?
Dollar menu back in the day.
Facts. Exactly. The dollar menu ain't even the same these days, but but yeah, it was they pressed us like crazy, and I didn't know why, didn't know where it came from. I never felt nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It was just difficult for me, and I just want to prevent that. Like, it's too much of that in these streets. Yeah. So if we can give these kids an outlet, and most it's so much talent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have been locked up before, and I was in certain situations, you're like surrounded by guys that beat on the table, do music. And it's like, it's so much talent being wasted. Like, it's guys that can draw, like, I mean, full blown artists in there. But they went the wrong path. They didn't have the proper guidance in their life. And it put them in a situation where they never going to see the light of day again. You know what I'm saying? I went to jail one. I went to jail, and I was like, no, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. This is not the place for me. But it's some people that don't
man.
have that have that choice. They just in there.
Yeah, yeah.
They never gonna get out. One mistake when they was young, and they was doing like armed robberies or something. Somebody might have got killed on accident, whatever. But some people made mistakes that they cannot come back from at a young age, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we need to provide something, an outlet that gives these kids the chance to explore their creativity, a possible career path. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to have classes that teach them how to like save and manage their money. You know what I'm saying? Manage their credit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to have the insurance guy come through and talk to them too. And school them on some insurance. You know what I'm saying? Because I think these tools are very beneficial, and like just having this outlet, like creative arts, art, just to expressing, it's an outlet to express yourself through music, through painting, whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever these kids do, whatever their talent may be, they can express themselves and get out some feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the time, this type of art is an expression of their feelings. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about for me. Self-expression, and just that outlet and that safety, like knowing these kids have somewhere to turn, and it's not gonna end them up possibly getting harmed by the police or ended up in a jail cell. You know what I'm saying? Because there's mothers out here missing their kids. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it's brothers and sisters out here missing their siblings and stuff like that. And then we got and then we out here fighting battles on top of battles, because we already fighting for equality. So it's like now we fighting the police because they killed another black person. Like if we keep these kids out of that situation, boom, that's one problem solved. And now let's keep fighting for everything else we need to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Because my heart goes out to that.
It's funny. Oh yeah, man. Look, one of the funniest. No, it's not really that funny. But one of the things that I always can relate to is whenever I meet somebody new, I meet a new young African American male, and they always talk about their background. I always wait to hear it, and usually when you hear it, is I got pressed by the police. That's the story that you just told. So like everybody, like, and it's not funny, but it's sad that everybody has that same story. It's like a rite of passage, and I can remember when my son started driving. Uh, I had to have that conversation with him, and it was a hard conversation to have, but to me it was unfair as a father, because I was like, man, I gotta have this conversation with my son, and my white counterparts, I don't think they're gonna have the same conversation with their child, or their child. I remember my son he plays baseball, and he had some teammates, and they were throwing a party, and he asked me, could he go? I said, yeah. I said, but I don't think that's gonna be your scene. He's like, oh, Dad, they always invite me to come. I need to go. I need to go show my support. I think they won the conference, and they were going to play in the playoffs, and they were celebrating. I said, yeah, man, I don't think that's your scene, dude, but go ahead and go. He went. Um, he went. He might have been gone 30 minutes. He came back and he was like, Dad, you're right. I'm like, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's not your scene. Like, man, like there's some things that some people can do that you're not gonna be able to do those things. And so he said he didn't feel comfortable. I think it was him and another one of his teammates, another black guy on the team. He said they went and they just looked at each other and they just left. They walked around, they spoke to everybody, and they left.
Yeah.
They just didn't feel comfortable. And you know it's sad, but that's life, man. That's the reality of life. Is you can't always let your guard down around certain people, because you just don't know. People may be joking and think it's like just having a good time, but for me, when the cops pull up, like now it doesn't bother me, but when I was 18, like 17, 18 years old, living in Houston, Texas, nah, man, when them lights came, nothing good was about to happen. When them sirens started to the time them sirens left, nothing good was coming out of it. So I always kept myself at bay. I was like, I don't know you. I don't want to get to know you. I'm good. If you had anything with a badge, buddy, and you stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here, and we'll both go home tonight. We don't have to have any interaction with each other. But now, shoot, I go up to officers that I know. I poke them in the chest, like make sure they got their vest on, and else make sure you got your vest on, buddy. We'll make sure you get home tonight.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
a good time, laugh and joke. Yeah, but nah,
absolutely.
yeah, 30 years ago, no conversation at all. None.
Yeah, and that's a mindset. Like, and I mean, I know that there are some cops that have done things like, you know what I'm saying, shot on our people. But see, like, we got to realize, like, all cops are not that person. You know what I'm saying? All cops don't do that. And just like you could say, you could joke around with cops and stuff now. Like, that's what it should be, because like these are normal people that are trying to make it home. They chose this job, yeah, but they,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? They choosing to protect the public, you know what I'm saying? And there's bad
Yeah.
seeds in every bunch. There's bad seeds in every
Exactly.
bunch. If we was going to label people as a whole, then black people would have no chance. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something we can't do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And see, I
saying?
think too, man. Like, I think the choices. Like, I remember getting I said accosted, but I remember getting pulled out of a car, put in handcuffs, and sat on the side of the road. The sirens ablaze and the lights on. But it all started with the choices I made. I went the wrong way on a one way. I made an illegal lane change. I mean, it was two other cars that did it. So I was the third car. I followed them, and they were gone. But the officer was right there. He saw me. He saw the other two cars. He wasn't gonna catch them two. So who was the most likely person to stop? Me. And everybody said, don't do that, because don't follow them, because the police are behind us. And I didn't hear him until I was gone. And I left, boom, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
had I not made that choice, you know, I wouldn't have got stopped. I wouldn't have had to live through that situation. I mean, I'm getting phone calls next morning. Man, you all right? I'm like, yeah, man, I got a ticket. I was wrong.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think,
and
and
the funny
nowadays,
part about it was,
no, go ahead.
uh, I was in the
No,
funny part about the whole story is, after the end of it, I had to go to the magistrate office. I had to go to the judge's office. He said, "Look, man, I'm gonna throw out one of your tickets. I'm not gonna throw out the littering, because that was your buddy's ticket, and I know he didn't. I know he littered." But what the officer was saying, "I'm gonna throw out one of these other tickets. You just pick whichever one you want to throw out. But that littering ticket, you're gonna pay that one." And I was like, "Man, that was the coolest. That was the coolest DA I ever met in my life."
yeah, that's what's up. And see, a lot of times,
Yeah,
if you just go with the process and realize you did something wrong, I mean, it'll work out for you. It ain't that serious, but it's like these days we created a culture of like putting prejudice to every situation uh, that has to deal with a cop and a person of color. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't run a red light, run a stoplight or whatever, get pulled over, and then pull your phone out and be like you getting harassed by the cops.
yeah,
Like, because that's just not what we're doing. Because that, for one thing that does is that devalues the situations where people are really
yep,
going through like a type of prejudice, and then it just like you giving you, first of all, when people find out what really happened, you make yourself look crazy, and then you just giving these cops a bad rap when we don't need to be doing that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The end of
There's some instances that are bad, but not all of them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, all the ones that we've seen that they've been publicizing, from Breonna Taylor to George Floyd to
yeah.
Fidel Castro. I mean, even Ahmaud Arbery. All those situations are all horrible.
Oh
They
yeah,
shouldn't have happened. I mean, they should not have happened. And for me, I'm like, hey, if you can, I think they go back to one simple thing. If a Caucasian man and myself sit down and have a conversation about how we grew up and about what our core values are, they'll find out I'm not very different from you. I might have a different political stance than you do. I might have a different stance on how I raise my children than you. But at the end of the day, we're the same guy. Just I got more pigment or more melanin than you do.
yeah,
You know, like so. Um, like I got guys I play football with back in Texas, and me and one guy we have a conversation. We had back when the Black Lives Matter movement was on the forefront, and every day they were on TV. he had an issue with it because his issue was, how come the battle cry is Black Lives Matter? How come it's not all lives matter? And I was like, all lives can't matter until Black Lives matter, because it's a simple
Absolutely.
statement. Yeah. So I
Because we are a part of all lives. Like,
exactly. That there he would say, well, what about blue lives? I mean, there is no blue life.
there's no
A
such
police
thing as a
officer,
blue light.
yeah, he takes that uniform off. He goes home. He's either a Negro, a Caucasian, a Hispanic. He belongs to some ethnic community.
Absolutely.
But when he puts that uniform on, he is a police officer. So to me, you devalue the statement. You devalue the slogan by trying to just say all lives matter. All lives do matter. But think about it. 50 years ago, what is this? No, in the 50s, the 1930s to the 1960s, they were lynching they were lynching African Americans, having a public display. They were taking pictures. You know, those people that were sitting there in those crowds, you see young men, young ladies, children. What is the psychological effect of those children seeing that dead body hanging from a tree or burned up? You don't value, to me, I would believe that your mind is now saying that you can't value the life of that individual because he was killed so easily and nothing happened to the people around. Basically, they they took a picture of a crime scene. Everybody smiled. Cheese. Used it as postcards, sent it around. They basically, yeah, they basically took pictures of a crime scene, did all the work for the police officers, and nothing happened. So how can you tell me Black Lives Matter when you had all this stuff happen?
And nobody did a thing.
You know,
Exactly.
nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
and and I mean that's just a fight we gonna have to deal with for a while. And we got some work to do within the Black community in order to um, get ourselves in a position where we can
yeah.
we can get what we fight for, because we're not all. I'm sorry, that's my son. Um,
It's all right. It's all right.
um, but I think it's some things we got to work on, because as a people, um, to get what we fighting for, that equality that we want so bad,
Yes.
we got to stop screaming free Pookie for
Right,
robbing the liquor
right,
store. You
right.
know what I'm saying? It's like we got to work.
Yeah.
We got to do some internal work, and I think this Black Lives Matter, because I saw that question asked a lot. Like, all right, so what are we gonna do about like the black on black crimes and stuff like that? And at the time, like people were kind of putting it off because of everything going on. And I think, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
let's focus on what's happening. That was like the George Floyd thing, and everything was like
Yeah.
really going on. But we do have to sit back and ask that question. And I think that's like
You do.
that's also what I want to do with Rhythm of Hope. And I see like programs within DTR, um, like you know what I'm saying, the Success Project and the Dad Project, and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
DeWanson and Clark
Yeah.
with the Bully Diversion Center, you know what I'm saying, teaching responsibility to kids
Yeah.
and kind of instilling certain values in these kids young, so we can create a
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
that can fight for change, because we gain a little, we get a little bit further as time passes, you know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
and
Every generation's life gets a little bit easier as time goes on. But one thing I've always noticed is that when you are in an impoverished area, the one thing that is unison on all those platforms is hopelessness. If a young person doesn't can't see themselves becoming successful or moving out of their environment, they can't see themselves succeeding. So, if only thing they see is a dope dealer that's out here driving in a nice Mercedes, hey man, that's my way out. I'm gonna sling dope. I
exactly.
understand why somebody, yeah, I understand why somebody sells dope. Like, yo, if your kids are hungry, if your children are hungry, and you don't have any other way to make it. Hey, I'm gonna take it from the person that has it, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take it from the person that has it, because they got the means to replace it. It's the wrong mindset. You might go to that person and ask them, how did you make it help me get to that level? That's the right answer. But I understand that mindset. And that's why Jason Redman is the age wants to be the agent of change. I want to get it, I want to get out here and I want to help these young brothers and sisters understand that, hey, man, you ain't got to take it. I can help you get it. I mean, I'm not going to give it to you, but we can work together to help you get it. You want to be successful? I want you to be successful, but I can't want your success more than you want it. Because if that's the case,
Absolutely.
hey, yeah, you're not
You're
gonna
not
make
going to be successful.
it.
Yeah.
So
It's been a wonderful episode. Locker room talk, just chopping it up, touching some good issues with me and my co-host, Mr. Jason Redman. I appreciate you joining us again on another episode of I Am the Change podcast, a nonprofit organization geared toward empowering, uplifting, and inspiring communities all over the world. Remember, next week, same time, same place. And remember, our goal is not to be better than anybody, but together we can achieve better for everybody. Thank you and have a good night.